somebody accused me, and I know I don't sound like this person, but I'm aware more objectively now. When English people speak, they kind of stumble all over the conversation, backtrack, and stumble over the next bit as well. Because this weird halting way I have, especially of talking.
It's interesting that you bring that up. I had a friend who would tell me that during the as an American, I suffer from being an American, and that is thinking the entire world is just like us, and that is, we had the Cultural Revolution. Other people didn't have it quite in the same way that we did. And then also a friend of mine was telling me that during the American Revolution, that Benjamin Franklin told us that Europeans viewed us as being tobacco spitting braggarts. And then a friend of mine who lived in China for the past couple of years, I guess so, who lived in China for the past couple of years, asked his students what they thought of Americans, and they thought that we were all fat and had guns. And so
again.
So this
seems
brazen,
reasonable.
Well, no, but it illustrates that this brazenness that you're talking about getting the sighting out there, about jumping in feet first, that really makes sense and kind of rings true. Yeah.
For me, actually, I've got a lot of experience with. I live in London, so I've got a lot of experience with lots of different people from around the world in their original state, not second and third generation, but as they come to the country.
Sure. Yeah.
And I like it. It's very interesting. But actually, this American brazenness, to me, it translates as courage. And maybe I thought it was brazen when I first started experiencing more people from your country. Of course, it's very different throughout. I understand that. But, the various states. But now, to me, it's a kind of courage that I admire. And I see in it something that we're lacking. And, although we do have some aspects that I really appreciate too, I think this courage to really jump in and say, this is who I am, this is what I'm doing from now on until whenever it stops, is lacking here.
Yeah, and that's a stereotype Americans would have towards English people would be manners and reserved.
Yeah, although my wife always says that English people are pretend polite, and I think that's true.
Man, that's true of everybody, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I experienced that in the US too, but there was a lot more genuine, orderly politeness as well. So when I first flew to the US in 2018, we were down. There was a big storm that year, I think, around August, September, and we were down. I had to stop off in Florida and get a flight back up to Portland. And the first flight that stopped in Florida, it was mostly British people. So, we got off in some sort of slightly orderly but disorderly manner. Nobody really waited for anybody else. And then I took an internal flight. And the first flight I got off, it was just Americans and me. And everybody on that plane got up in order and let the person in front of them get their bag and get off. And I was shocked. Like, what are these people doing? It's going to take us an hour to get off here. And, but that was also really impressive. And
I flew recently, and it is impressive. I was a little surprised.
Yeah.
Especially after a long, like I've flown to England, and especially after a flight like that, to see people not try to kill each other to get a breath of fresh air really gives me a little hope for humanity.
Yeah. But you guys, you guys were the polite, the Americans on my internal flights, and I took 10 internal flights while I was there. Almost everywhere but Philly, they were really, really, really polite. I know Boston as well, but those are the two places where I felt most at home. So I got off at Philly airport, I had to change. I went and saw these Philadelphia girls, I think, at the coffee shop, and I was some for the coffee, and they said, "What you say?" And I said, "Can I have a cappuccino or something, please?" And somebody said, "He talks funny," and gave me the cappuccino. And they were rude to everybody in the line, but it was the first place that actually made me feel at home.
That's funny.
I've lived in London, so I was like, oh, thank goodness I can relax for a second now, because these girls are just really rude, so I don't have to care. Everybody in Philly just does.
Funny.
That is just hilarious, and I guess shows you how different we can all be.